Senator Penny Wong, the current Minister for Foreign Affairs, famously, or perhaps infamously, spoke out against same-sex marriage in 2010, despite being Australia's first openly gay female parliamentarian. At the time, she stated, "On the issue of marriage, I think the reality is there is a cultural, religious and historical view around that which we have to respect. The party's position is very clear that this is an institution that is between a man and a woman." Nowadays, while politicians may be more uncertain about the definitions of a man and a woman, back then those definitions were clear. However, she later changed her tune on the definition of marriage. In 2017, Wong played an instrumental role in the legalisation of same-sex marriage in Australia, reversing her previous endorsement of Labor Party policy that had opposed it. The BBC reported on the moment, "Australia gay marriage, gay Senator Penny Wong's tears of joy." I'm not sure who the gay SAS are, but who am I to argue with the BBC? Naturally, I couldn't resist asking AI to create a picture. It's amusing that when you search for Penny Wong images on Google, there's a recommendation for husband. Out of curiosity, clicking on it reveals pictures of Senator Wong's female partner, humorously categorised as husband. But who are we to argue with Google's algorithms? Now, Ms. Wong asserts that, much like same-sex marriage, the Indigenous voice to Parliament will inevitably be enacted. That 2023 referendum, where Australians overwhelmingly voted against the voice, was just a racist blip on Australia's dark history. We're sure to come around sooner or later. In her first ever podcast appearance, Senator Wong appeared on Batuta Talks, a podcast hosted by the fictional editors of the satirical news website, the Batuta Advocate. The host asked about the voice referendum, saying, "With the referendum, the referendum looked like it was going to fail. Everyone who was supporting it had hope, but Albo had the chance to pull the pin on that in the early days before we'd ever seen all the confusion set in. Is that what you're saying there?" Senator Wong replied, "Yeah, he's not a pull-the-pin kind of guy. He thought it was the right thing to do, and a lot of First Nations leaders wanted the opportunity. I think we'll look back on it in 10 years' time, and it'll be a bit like marriage equality. I always used to say marriage equality, which took us such a bloody fight to get that done, and I thought, all this fuss, it'll become something. It'll be like people go, 'Do we have an argument about that?' Kids today, or even adults today, barely kind of clock that it used to be an issue. Remember how big an issue that was in the culture wars?" Okay, so what exactly is she saying? Is she suggesting that Australia is destined to be divided along racial lines, where one group, based solely on their ancestry, will hold more influence in Parliament than others? And she calls that progressive? In Australia, everyone is already equal under the law. To propose that one group, defined entirely by ethnicity, should have an additional constitutionally enshrined voice that others do not, well, doesn't that sound, dare I say, discriminatory? She repeatedly referenced the culture wars throughout the interview, seemingly dismissing them as a mere distraction. However, I'd argue that culture wars often arise as a response to flawed policy, because culture is deeply important to people. In fact, it might be one of the most important aspects of society. To brush off legitimate concerns as nothing more than culture wars feels patronising. Australians made their stance clear on the Indigenous voice in 2023. They said no. It doesn't sit right to grant one group of people more influence than others. Naturally, this made headlines today with the Australian reporting, "A resurrected voice is inevitable," declares Wong. However, perhaps anticipating some electoral backlash, she recently told SBS News, Penny Wong admits voice is gone after saying referendum could pass in future. Her exact words were, "The voice is gone. The Prime Minister has made that clear, and the Australian people have made their position clear, and we respect the result of the referendum." But can we really take Wong and Albanese on their word? Is the voice truly gone, or is it something they'll revive if re-elected?